And welcome back to the Delaware Boys Dynasty Football Podcast. Ryan, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. A little late on our shows. Normally we're here on Tuesdays, but we had a little bit of a setback. So here we are on a Wednesday at 8:45. Tonight we're bringing you the same series we did last time. Last episode we did quarterbacks. This episode we're stepping into Steven's ball game. We're doing running backs tonight. Who we're buying this year at value, who we think can rise up these boards compared to where they're at now to where they will be towards the end of the season, or at least rankings-wise. Steven, you got anything with people before we kick this thing off?
Yeah, as always, guys, I am Steven Chalmers. Never said that, but we are always sponsored by Yards Per Fantasy Network. 5-year anniversary to when Alex opened the doors at Yards Per. So I just want to say shout out to Alex. Shout out to everybody that's on the team. It is a pleasure and an honor to work with every single one of you every single day. They are running deals right now, 30% off all merch. The template projection board, the rookie guide, everything. Awesome.
Don't sleep on the team reviews. That's also a great opportunity they offers. Customization for your team where they can break down your team, who's going to win, who's going to lose. You can do reviews at the start of the season, mid, and playoff. I mean, all the way down the line. I think that's one of the more unique things that they offer. If you're looking for that type of deal, I think they're pretty fun. I participated in a couple. It's a good time.
Yeah. So, again, I put a tweet out the other day talking about the shiny toy concept. And I thought it was an interesting tweet. Got a lot of responses to it. It was a lot of fun. And the whole point is that as Ryan and I have been talking throughout our podcast, we're talking about it a lot recently, that veterans are just mismanaged when it comes to dynasty football. It's how it is. It's the way of times. It's just everybody wants that shiny new toy that has not proven anything in the league. And I get it. There are guys that are going to come in and they're going to be future stars. Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I mean, the list goes on. But veterans are a key part of a dynasty roster, key part of a championship run. And we have some running back values tonight that we're going to discuss that we believe can truly be league winner type players. And I'm going to start it off. I'm not going to talk about the obvious. I'm going to leave the league winner for last for me. First player I want to talk about, Aaron Jones.
Okay.
Running back 35, going for a 2025 second. We're not even talking about a 2024 late second. We're talking about a 2025 random throw in the dark second. He comes in at 147 in the Dynasty Review, 147th overall player. And we're talking about back-to-back running back one finishes. Only reason he wasn't on running back one the first year, suspended. Running back wasn't a running back one the second year, also suspended. 4-game suspensions, 2 years straight. But then we go running back one, running back one, running back one, running back one. Here we are. And last year, running back two. Only played 11 games. But the things that you're looking for when it comes to this evaluation, especially for me, is efficiency. Aaron Jones has yet to average under 4.5 yards per carry in the league. Last year, 4.62 yards per carry, had over 30 catches and only played 11 games. And I want to say this. We talked about Alvin Kamara having a knack for the end zone. Aaron Jones has a knack for the end zone. Always has. Yeah. Multiple years of double-digit touchdowns in the league. And he's just an absolute beast. To bode confidence for you guys, last year, 5 straight games of 100 yards or more rushing. And he did it in the wild card game where Green Bay destroyed Dallas. I mean, destroyed Dallas. And then he did it in San Fran. That's a hell of a feat, buddy. Aaron Jones at 29 still has juice.
Yeah, not to mention he's in a pretty decent offense. I mean, he goes from one great offense to another. Well, we'll see how it goes with JJ McCarthy. I guess you can't call it a great offense per se, but he's got great options around him on this team.
Well, I think a running back like Aaron Jones, especially with his skill set, a guy who averages 5 yards per carry or more on the outside zone stretch schemes, but also averages no less than 4.5 yards per carry north and south between the tackles. A guy that can bang it inside, and he's tough. Especially he's technically undersized for what we like to see, but can bang it inside, bang it home, and run hard. Or if he's going to beat you to the outside, he's going to beat you on that stretch scheme, and he's going to absolutely destroy you with a one-cut go. On top of the fact, he's a hell of a receiving threat. Running backs like that do it all, three-down backs, the true three-down backs are important to a scheme. Very, very important. And I think it makes it, whether it's Sam Darnold or whether it's J.J. McCarthy, I think that makes this offense a whole hell of a lot easier to operate. And honestly, they haven't had a running back like this since Dalvin Cook, and I'm not really worried about Ty Chandler taking a whole lot of touches.
Yeah, no. I think he's a solid buy, especially at value. Like you touched on before. We'll say it again. We might be the only ones saying this, but veterans do matter in fantasy, especially in dynasty, to win leagues. I mean, it gets to a certain point where you can't get, a roster full of young guys to a championship without running into somebody that has a CMC or a Travis Kelce who can absolutely dominate on their end, and just hope and pray that little old Malik Neighbors and the Giants can put up the same production as these guys in the playoffs. I think you like to have some guys that are proven vets that you can go to and say, these guys are going to get me consistent points.
Absolutely. I will stand by Aaron Jones at running back 35. I'm not going to say he's not mispriced. He is mispriced to a certain degree, but remember, we were talking about a 29-year-old running back, a 7-year veteran, a lot of touches on the body. But I will say, though, if you're looking for a short-term option at running back, especially with how I believe the landscape will change going into 2025, this is that guy.
Yeah. Let's kick it off on my side. I'm going a little bit, he's like right on the edge for me as a buy. But I'm going to start out with Josh Jacobs here, who has gone from Las Vegas, who I think we can all agree as a community was pretty abysmal last year. He had a down year, and he was hurt. Well, he experienced some injuries. His first year had multiple games missed via injury. He's had in his career a few years where he's missed a game or two here and there, but this is the first time he's played less than 15 in a season. Or last year was. Plus, he lands with an ascending offense with Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, who I think are going to flourish with many years to come. And you mentioned with Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs also multiple 10-plus touchdown seasons. He's had 197 career catches. I mean, he's pretty solid. He's picked up the receptions late in his career. Just a fun fact, when I was doing some research on Josh Jacobs, he's never once had a receiving touchdown, despite having 197 catches.
It's crazy.
Which was interesting to me. I bet he gets you that this year.
Yeah, and I like Josh Jacobs. Well,
let me get to the concern before I get to you. The concern for me sits in the Packers last year only finishing 22nd in rushing attempts with Aaron Jones, who they kind of pushed away, and A.J. Dillon, who underperformed in the season. But at the same time, you look at that and say, yeah, it's a little rough, but they were 6th in red zone opportunities. And I think Josh Jacobs is another guy that has a nose to the red zone and can get the job done for you. He's at RB15 right now, value-wise, behind Pacheco, James Cook, and Rashad White. And at 26 years old, I think he can probably outscore all those guys this year.
So we talked about the 22nd in rushing attempts. So let's also talk about the fact that there was no efficiency when it comes to the running back position when Aaron Jones has went down. There was no consistency outside of Aaron Jones. 11 games played. Like I said, it was at a weird time. Very, very weird time. You know, I mean, you hurt early, and then after week 11, he had an MCL injury as well. But last year, going into the stretch of the playoffs, 4 games straight, the last 3 games, and then the 4th game, which being the Dallas game in the playoffs, 20 touches, just carries for Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
And then in that San Fran game, 18 touches, 15 carries, 3 receptions. So I think LaFleur wants to feature the running back.
Yeah.
I do not think that he trusted A.J. Dillon in that role. A.J. Dillon has never been efficient. Never. He never panned out to be what we thought he would be.
Yeah.
So now we bring in a Josh Jacobs, who I will say is not as efficient as Aaron Jones has been in his career, but he doesn't scream efficiency woes. And I love the fact that before this season, he had 2 straight years of 50-plus catches and was on pace for that. He had 37 catches last year. I think Josh Jacobs is a great fit in this offense. I think he's a great fit for what they want to do. I do not see much competition on this roster early for Josh Jacobs. Don't like A.J. Dillon, and I like Marshawn Lloyd, but I don't see a path to where Marshawn Lloyd's taking significant touches.
Yeah. Like you said, Aaron Jones had 50-plus catches multiple times with Matt LaFleur in this offense. I get that was with Aaron Rodgers, but I still think they're looking for that for Jordan Love as well. And I guess Josh Jacobs also had 50-plus catches, I think, back-to-back years with Derek Carr quarterback. So it all matches up for him to take on that Aaron Jones role, and that's something I'm willing to cash in on. And he's still got 2-3 years in that role before he starts to fall off. And I'm all in at Josh Jacobs. I think he can be a top 10 back this year.
Yep. Easy. I will say, though, me and you had talked about this in his contract. I'm going to give him the 2 years because they do have that significant out for the going into the, what would that be, the 2026 season?
Yeah.
But this Green Bay team is really exciting, man. I really like what Green Bay is doing. And the thing is like I know he's going to get paid sooner or later, but Jordan Love, man, 1 year, and this man's about to earn a hell of a contract. No doubt. Thoughts on the Giants wide receiver room, specifically Darius Slayton? Is he relevant on the redraft? If
I'm talking Darius Slayton coming from a Giants fan, he's definitely more, if you're targeting him in, probably more of a best ball guy. He lays pretty dormant on that offense, and he has a few up and down games. I think with the addition of Malik Neighbors, that's going to take a little bit of Slayton's role away. Daniel Jones has kind of gone to Slayton a lot, but now that we have an alpha in the team in Malik Neighbors, I think you kind of see that kind of taken away a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of stock in on Darius Slayton unless it's a really, really rough week. I'm not looking to start him anywhere. Daniel Jones' efficiency of the receivers has never translated since he's came into the career, so not in on Darius Slayton.
Is it fair to say that the pecking order for the Giants wide receiver room is Neighbors, Wandale, Darius Slayton?
I honestly think Wandale and Slayton would be close. I would probably give the slight edge to Slayton. I think him and Daniel Jones, for some reason, have this pretty solid connection. I know a lot of people are looking for Wando to take a step, but I don't know, man. We'll see. Well, he could prove me wrong, but I think it would probably be Neighbors and then Slayton, and then everybody else gets the rest. I don't expect a lot out of this offense, to be honest with you.
Jacobs face stack boxes a lot. Defenses weren't afraid of Las Vegas passing attack. Yeah, I can stand behind this statement. Yeah. I definitely will. I will say, though, Antonio Pierce played more of a conservative offense when he took over as interim head coach for the Raiders. Shoot, it's weird to say Las Vegas. But anyway, Aiden O'Connell only had an ADOT of, I want to believe, 7.5 yards.
Yeah, it was bad.
So the ball wasn't moving through the air, even though you have a Devontae Adams on the side. You got Jacoby Myers running the slot. They had some pieces on the wide receiver side of things, but they weren't willing to stretch the field. And I do agree with that, the fact that with this, when you can sit in on this number and you know that they're not willing to stretch the field, then bring the defense up, and it hurts Josh Jacobs, yes. But like I said, Josh Jacobs has always been a volume guy. He's not as bad as like Mixon is when I talk about his efficiency. But here we are. Jacobs is in a great situation in Green Bay.
I'm all in on Jacobs. As soon as I saw him trade there, I was like, wow, let's go by.
Well, let's talk about the league winner.
Go ahead, get him out the way.
It's pretty easy, guys. Derrick Henry. Yeah. Running back 18 in Dynasty. That's crazy to me. I know we're talking about a 30-year-old Derrick Henry, but we've never seen a grown man like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is, in this generation, one of the best running backs we've watched. And talk about how bad Tennessee was last year. 31st as a PFF offensive line, run rate winning offensive line. They were terrible. There was nothing in Tennessee. It was really rough. Yeah, Derrick Henry is a top 10 running back.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, the year he broke his foot, still finished as a running back too. And he only played 8 games.
Still got 10 touchdowns in that span too.
Still got 10 touchdowns in that season. We now go to Baltimore. We now go to Charm City. And when we talk about Charm City, we talk about the 9th best offensive line. We talk about 531 rushing attempts. And Lamar only had 148. That leaves over 380 touches. I don't care how you spin it. Derrick Henry is in line for a massive, massive workload.
Yeah.
Todd Monken has never had a running back like this, I promise. And if you're to tell me your prediction for Derrick Henry is 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns, Mixon, sprinkle in a couple of catches, top 5 running back, who am I to say no? I'm not.
Not surprised. Yeah.
Derrick Henry is a league-winning running back. And for any dynasty owner, they're willing to throw you a second round, or you're willing to go throw a second-round pick for Derrick Henry, cash in.
Cash in. Yeah, if you're looking to win, go grab Derrick Henry right now. His value is around this for the last 3 seasons, or 2 seasons, excuse me. But I just don't see how, like, worst case scenario for me, he's looking at like 1,200 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns. And that's still probably going to get you really high up there. I just don't see a world where in this high-end rushing team, it's like a match made in heaven for Derrick Henry. He can just cook. He's a grown-ass man looking like a linebacker at the running back position with the distraction of Lamar Jackson, who's probably the best rushing quarterback of all time. I mean, it's scary this year in Baltimore. I think those two are going to eat all season. Like Steven said, if you can cash in on a second for Derrick Henry, I get that you got a chance on hitting on a rookie there. But if you're in a position where you're one piece away to win the championship, go buy Derrick Henry for a second.
Yep.
No doubt. And don't look back.
Baltimore, a team of efficiency as well.
Yeah.
Top 3 in red zone opportunities. Number 1 in the league in rushing red zone touchdowns. Top 5 team in overall yards per carry, coming in at 4.8. And that's coming with a mix of J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Keaton Mitchell. And Lamar himself averaged over 5.5 yards per carry. I can't imagine how excited Todd Monken is to have Derrick Henry in the backfield.
Yeah.
And I know as a dynasty owner in one of my leagues, I bought Derrick Henry and I got to pair him up. And I still have my 2025 first. So please believe that in 2025 with this first round pick, I'm looking to address the running back spot here because of how this class is getting out. Yes, it's going to be a great class. Yeah. But I got to pair him with Bijan Robinson. So I'm really excited to own Derrick Henry in this league, man. And what's crazy is in this same league, I have Lamar and Mark Andrews. Yeah, Charms. I'm all. It's just Charm City. I'm all in on this offense. We're talking about AFC Championship contenders last year. I don't see how they're not playing meaningful football in January. They're gonna be a powerhouse.
Steelers fan, by the way, just for the record.
They are gonna be nasty.
He's a Steelers fan, just for the record. You heard it here first. He's gassing up the Ravens, guys.
They are gonna be very good.
Just saying. Throwing it out there. Anyway, moving on to our next buy. We're going Alvin Kamara here, who gets up there in age.
The thumbnail.
Mr. Thumbnail. Sure enough, yeah. But look, I get he doesn't have Drew Brees anymore. His efficiency is probably not going to get back to where he's at with Drew Brees. But last year, he had a 6.6 catches per game, which is the highest it's been since Drew Brees retired. I think there's an upside here with Derek Carr, who's kind of a mid quarterback. He looked to Josh Jacobs a lot when he was with Las Vegas. And I think he's looking towards the same thing for Alvin Kamara. And I get, Kendre Miller's knocking on the door. But we've seen it with Alvin Kamara in his past where he can play in a secondary role, even if Kendre is considered a secondary role. We've seen it with Mark Andrews and Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara can eat out of that receiving back
Mark
role.
Ingram, not Andrews.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. I didn't realize I said Mark Andrews. Mark Ingram, I apologize. But no, I mean, the receiving upside's back for Kamara. I'm kind of in on it. He's down there with Brian Robinson and just like Derrick Henry, 2025 second, who I think if I'm in a situation where I'm trying to win, I'm going to go smash Alvin Kamara for value where he's at right now. And on top of that, past 2 seasons, hasn't really had a lot of touchdowns. I think he's due for some touchdowns in this offense. He only had 6 last year. I think he had 4 the previous season. Numbers got to go up at some point. I like Alvin Kamara at value right now for a guy who's never finished outside of RB20.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with this. And with Alvin Kamara, what I like to specifically state is the fact that we had a running back last year who had some of the worst rushing metrics in the NFL, but yet he averaged 18 fantasy points a game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's nuts. Alvin Kamara is the heart of the New Orleans offense.
He would be until he leaves that team, if I'm being honest with you. A lot of people are creeping up on value for Kendre Miller. I'm not ready yet. 2025, we'll maybe talk about that. But this year, I think it's still Kamara's job.
He has been a staple in New Orleans since 2017. I remember the elite efficiency, Alvin Kamara. I remember that guy that we saw him split roles with Mark Ingram. Talk about multiple double-digit touchdown seasons. The dude has a knack for the end zone. Last year, 6 touchdowns, 5 rushing, 1 receiving. And then the year before that, I believe it was, 7? You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm not saying 7's a bad number, but we watched Alvin Kamara score 6 touchdowns on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen games like this from Alvin Kamara. He's a big-time player. Big-time players always make big-time plays. And a guy that averaged 6 catches per game last year. The most since Drew Brees. And I told you that when Drew Brees retired, Alvin Kamara was done. And it still hasn't happened yet.
Nope.
Still hasn't happened. And
he's still hanging around, man.
And honestly, 18 fantasy points per game outside of McCaffrey and I want to say down the stretch, Brees Hall, because I don't count early stretch. But you saw second half, Brees Hall was over 20 fantasy points per game. That has to be top 5 in overall fantasy points per game, if not top 3.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara is a stud at his value. Absolute stud. And he's going as a flex when it comes to running backs. That's nuts.
If you got Kamara sitting in your flex, I'm feeling real comfortable about your team, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
But that's his value right now.
Yeah. I love it. Talking about Mr. Conservative Derek Carr. Not talking about anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. So the last running back that I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah, baby. Feed me.
James Conner. We talked about how disrespectful Aaron Jones' value was. James Conner sits at running back 39. We're talking about a 2026 second. We're talking about overall 167th player drafted. 12 team, that's a little past round 12. We're looking at round 13, middle 13, 14. 10 team, that's like 16th round. 16th, almost 17th round. For a starting running back.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know the story. You know, James Conner 2018, monster season in Pittsburgh. Comes in his first year at Arizona, overall top 5 running back season. Last 2 years, only had 13 games played. But from a fantasy metric standpoint, was top 10 in fantasy running back points per game, coming in at 15.5, a little over 15.5 fantasy points per game. We're talking about receiving upside, multiple seasons of 40-plus catches here. We're talking about touchdown upside, back-to-back seasons with 7. Both seasons had over 200 carries, handles a heavy workload, and this offense is an ascending offense. Kyler Murray's healthy. We're bringing some weapons to space it out a little bit. I'm very excited for James Conner. I believe James Conner is going to have another solid season.
Yeah, I mean, he's primed. I mean, they just set up that offense with Kyler, Marv, and James Conner. And Trey McBride. I mean, this offense is solid now. They have a true one on the outside that can take away from McBride and James Conner. The only thing that worries me with James Conner, obviously, is the rookie and Trey Benson. But that being said, he's so established in this offense as just the red zone guy alone that it's going to be hard to strip that role from him. And as many touchdowns as he's gotten in the last couple of years with the Cardinals, I think that number stays about the same.
Yeah, I mean, so like I get it. We're on a 1-year deal here talking about with James Conner, but you know, after this season, if it is Trey Benson, and and James Conner gives you a top 12 season, top 15 season, and you get to ride off in the sunset, then so be it. If you're rostering a player like James Conner, who's 29, going on 30 years old, who's had a hell of a career in the NFL, who's been a staple for multiple teams in the NFL, and one day it's time to say goodbye, then this is the day. It's time to say goodbye. But James Conner is going to be relevant for 2024. He's going to have a massive workload. And he's a part of a very intriguing ascending offense. I'm very excited to see James Conner play.
Yeah. To wrap things up here. So it's a little rough. This is a sensitive subject for a lot of people. Might cast some strays for this one. But my last running back at value searched all the way down.
I don't want to hear this.
47.
I don't even want to hear this.
Player 194. You're talking 16th round value. 16th round. Who are you getting in the 16th round, Steve? How about I tell you? We're sitting in the same range as Curtis Samuel and Roschon Johnson. Tell me, we're talking Austin Eckler in this range.
Oh, no doubt.
Austin Eckler is in this range. And I get it, right? Awful last season. Looks lower on the field. Efficiency is at an all-time low. You know, I get it. It's a rough subject for a lot of people who may have counted on him last year to win them a championship. But at RB 47, way, way, way too low. He's going in the same value as a 2024 third, who me and Steve have talked about wanting to get out of that range. Just get out. Say what you want. He's still probably a starting running back for the Commanders. And I know Brian Thomas is there. Brian Thomas. Jesus Lord. Brian Robinson. Sorry. But he doesn't offer as a receiving back. He had 36 catches last season. Not a whole lot going on there. Austin Eckler can come in and eat at that role. And maybe he doesn't get back to what he does with the Chargers. I'm not expecting a top 10 season out of a veteran in Eckler who's going at RB 47 right now, right? But if you can get him in your flex spot, I think he's going to have a few games here and there with Jaden Daniels where he can do something. And I get, like, if he was RB 26, 27, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But when you're down there with guys like Curtis Samuel and Roschon Johnson, it's worth a shot for me. I'm just saying.
I'm not laughing.
I'm just saying.
So I remember the multiple top 5 seasons for Austin Eckler. Excuse me. And every year he comes back to say he can't do it again. There's no way. And he did it for years. Last year was the year where it finally caught up. The soft tissue hamstring injury really caught up. Justin Herbert goes down. Mike Williams goes down. And it was just a perfect, like, shitstorm for the Chargers. It just didn't – it felt wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Eckler's done. I'm not saying that. And like you said, you can probably count out another top 5 to top 10 season.
For sure. No doubt he's not sitting in that range.
But at running back 47, can you count out a running back 2 season? I agree with you, and I say no. So you're talking about a top 24 season realistically for a guy who's a veteran in the league, who's played well in the league, who has been a fantasy stud for a lot of us for years. I don't see where that's a problem, especially with how much you have to pay for him. A 3rd-round pick, okay, that's pretty cheap.
Exactly. And you're just like, okay, well, now I have Austin Eckler. And on top of that, like, let's give Austin Eckler a little bit of credit. He did fall off. The fall off did start with Justin Herbert, but I think you saw a lot of stacked boxes against him when Easton Stick was the quarterback. I mean, this is the team that got absolutely stunk by the Raiders, stomped on.
Wasn't that a 60-point
offense
game?
Was not good. Austin Eckler didn't really get a whole lot of help. So I think he's due for a bounce back. He's probably got a pretty big chip on his shoulder considering they shipped him right out the door and sent him to the highest bidder. I think he's still got a little bit of juice left in him. He's at least at Washington for 2 more seasons, whether they like it or not. It's worth it for a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, I agree. I'm all in. So Any honorable mentions, like any guy, like I'm not going to go into any detail, but another guy that like stands out to me that I personally talked about, Najee Harris.
Yeah. Najee
Another
Harris.
guy. I have him as an honorable mention here in this podcast. I know we're pushing a half hour, so
Yeah. Joe Mixon is another one that just missed my list. He gets to spend a little bit of time with CJ Stroud and the Texans. I think he's also a solid buy. Won't get too far into it. But I think that about wraps up the value for me on guys. I think I'd draw the line after Mixon.
yeah. So as we continue our series, we appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight again. We hit quarterbacks last week, running backs this week. Next, we got wide receivers. This is a 2-podcast week. So, what is it, Friday night? Saturday?
Yeah.
Friday.
Friday.
Friday night, we will be going live with the wide receivers, the gems at the wide receiver position. I can't wait for this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. Wide receivers are always fun to talk about.
Yeah. You want to take this last second comment in before you get a second?
Yeah.
Before we go?
I wonder if a second plus gets Joe Mixon during rookie draft type season. Yes, I saw a draft pick the other day. I saw multiple trades where Joe Mixon was going for like 2-3, 2-4. I'm easily willing to bang home the 2-3, 2-4. Now in Superflex, the one value I'm starting to gain traction on is the Bo Nix value. So if Bo Nix is sitting at 2-3, 2-4, and I need quarterback help, I'm probably going to refrain from trying to buy Joe Mixon. But if I'm in that desperate need to have Bo Nix on my roster, I'm probably not competing.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the 2-3. I think anywhere the 2-3 to 2-5 range is what Joe Mixon's true value is. And I truly believe that that's an easy sell for me. I'll give that up for Joe Mixon. A volume king. Absolute volume king.
Volume king, sure.
Dude doesn't work on efficiency, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But volume king he is. And he's been a staple. He's been a running back 5 of the 7 years he's been in the league.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll pay it.
I'm there with you. That being
So
said,
we are gonna end this stream tonight with this. Buy your veterans. Veterans matter. We have been preaching this for this. This has been our topic of conversation for like the last 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. It's been fun. We get to go back in time. We get to open up the time capsule. You know what I mean? Like I'm excited.
Yeah. Have a little bit of redraft in your dynasty leagues. Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Don't be
veterans
scared.
are important. So Friday night, wide receivers. Can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Ryan, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, no. If you tuned in tonight, appreciate you. As always, you guys are the building blocks for this platform, and we're glad to even get on here in the first place, to even speak to you guys in the first place, to give it output, some advice. It means the world to us, honestly. It's something that we've been grinding this out for 3 seasons, and it's not any less fun than it is day one. We love this shit, and we're here for the long run. So appreciate your support, guys. Keep them coming in. We won't let you down.
Yeah. Like I said, 5 years for yards per since they opened their doors. Alex, shout out to you. Congratulations. Check out Yards Per Fantasy. Everything is 30% off right now. Please check it out. It is a blast. Love working with these guys. Friday night, wide receivers. And we're going to wrap it up with tight ends after that. I believe that's going to be next Tuesday. Other than that, that's all we got for you guys tonight. Well, as always, if you like the content tonight, like, comment. Most importantly, subscribe. We are over the 2K mark. We're sitting at 2.01K subscribers on Yards Per YouTube. Appreciate all the support, guys. I'm sure Alex appreciates it as well. And on that note, we are out.